Article 2, to elect by secret ballot the following town officers. 1, selection, inspector, and overseer of the poor for a 3-year term. 1, school board director, 3-year term. The votes have been counted, and for the selected position, Dale Minor, 68 votes. Jeff Sanborn, 1 vote. Owen Thomas, 1 vote. I declare Dale Minor the winner. For school board director, Owen Thomas, 69 votes. 2 votes for nobody in particular. I declare Owen Thomas the winner. Congratulations. Alright. Are there any politicians here? I didn't see anybody. It looks like a while somebody comes in and wants to give a speech. Not that you want to hear the speech, but. So, if you haven't been here before, my name is David Stroff. I'm a Baldwin resident. The rules that we go by are pretty simple. We try to use the main moderator's rule. There's a book out there that talks about how to do it, but frankly, it's really just common sense. We want everybody to have a chance to be heard. We want to make sure everybody has a chance to vote. We want to make sure we get the votes right. So let's all be patient with each other as we go through this. Make sure we give each other room to ask questions and to get questions answered. I'd ask all your questions and answers be directed at me. It just makes it go quicker if you direct the questions and answers towards me. Typically, I'll allow the person making the motion to speak first, because they're the ones making the motion, so I'd like to hear what they have to say first. Also, typically, residents are the only ones allowed to speak during town meetings, but I'd like to ask, through unanimous consent, that I be allowed to recognize folks from outside of Baldwin, as long as they tell us they're from outside of Baldwin, so we know. Any concern with that? Thank you. Next, traditionally, every year, the town warrant has a list of those who we have lost over the ensuing year. This particular list includes folks who we lost in 2022. Most of us have friends or family in that list, and so I'd like to take just 10 seconds of silence to remember those folks. So if you'd indulge me, thank you. Thank you. And now this is on page 50, if anybody wants to take a look at it. Now, before we start, the town warrant is a little different this year. Has a little different structure. So before we started, I wanted someone to explain. After most of the provisions, there's 4 pieces of information: 2022 transition appropriation, 2022 transition expenditure, 2023 appropriation, and 2023 expenditure. I'd like one of the selectmen to kind of tell the group what those are, so we have kind of a baseline as we go through this.
All right, I'm the guilty party. So, I think the 2022 transition, you remember the 2022 transition fiscal year was from January 1st last year to June 30th of last year, 6-month period. And that just shows you what we spent within that 6-month period, what was appropriated and what was actually generally what we give you. The 2023 appropriation is what we appropriated for the period starting July 1st of last year and it ends June 30th of this year. But because we're not at the end yet, we wanted to give you a number of where we were heading with that. So the next one, the 2023 expenditure, is where we were as of about the end of the year when we were putting the town report together. So that gives you an idea of what the spend rate was. You just from there, usually there's a recommendation as to how much we recommend for 2024, which starts July 1st next month. Questions?
Yeah, any questions? I noticed a couple places that says April 2023 expenditures. Is that just up through April?
That was, that's where most of them are.
Are we all good with that? You all have to start from the same place, otherwise it will take a long time. All right. Anything else we have to deal with before we start? Once we start, we're going. All right. Article 3, to see if the town will vote to accept or act upon the report of its select board, assessors, and overseers of the poor, clerk and treasurer, and other town officers for the last year, which is the 6-month 2022 transition. I entertain a motion.
So moved.
Seconded.
It's been moved and seconded to accept the report. Any questions?
I'm just gonna take page 64 for an example. The call that says for 2022, is that to June or to December?
The speaker is asking about page 64 of the town report, which is a statistical breakdown of the emergency calls for the Baldwin Fire Department responded to in 2022. And the question is, what time period does that cover?
Yeah, is that the full calendar year or to June 30th?
That would be for the full calendar year, until last one.
So I would say, the question in my mind is that going to be a case for a lot of reports? It doesn't end June 30th, it goes into the rest of 22 as well, and maybe even into this year.
So I think the speaker is asking, Article 3 says whether or not we'll accept the town report of the last year, and then it says, parent 6-month 2022 transition. I think the speaker is asking for some clarification about what that means, because the report in the warrant, at least on page 64, only deal with the calendar year 2022. Questions?
No, I'd have to turn to the fire department, since that's the fire department's report.
He said it was for the calendar year 2022, so I think the speaker is asking, is there information in the report about the period prior to June 30th, 2023? So the 6-month period.
No, this ends at January of 2023. It's up until December 30th of 2022. The calendar year.
So are the reports that we're asking to accept through today, or are they just for calendar year 2022?
They are just for calendar year 2022.
Is that true for all of them?
I don't think so, no.
Okay.
Each individual one would have to respond. I'm not sure what the code enforcement officer's report includes, but I don't think it is just the 6-month period. And it may go beyond December 31st of last year.
Oh, no, all the rest of ours are according to the 6 months. It's just showing a call. Anything else financially related is within everything else in the scope.
I'm not addressing other people's reports.
Yeah, other things.
Can't really hear you.
You can't hear back there?
Not as well when he's speaking. So, can you get a question being asked one more time, please?
He said that he was referring to the other reports, and there's not just the fire department. Additional questions?
I guess maybe I'm just confused. I'm just curious if we only have on the cover page, it says January to June. If we have a mixture of information, if we're gonna be able to make an informed decision on the proposed budget. If it's based on figures that aren't 6 months or 12 months or whatever the case may be.
I suppose the question is what,
So the,
if you have to speak up.
yeah, so the numbers that are in the warrant itself are based on strictly what was in the 2022 transition budget, as explained there, and we explained to you, because we're actually working on another full year budget, that we do have some data that you can use to estimate what comes up for the next year. And that's in the 2023 appropriation and expenditures numbers. The numbers in the, like the fire department report and other reports, I can't swear to what date they ended. But the auditor's report is for the transition year only, doesn't include any of the 2023.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Additional comments or questions regarding Article 3? Hearing none, all those in favor of accepting the report in the town warrant for the last year for an 6 month 2022 transition say yes.
Yes.
All those opposed say no. Vote the affirmative. Oh, anyone yell. Vote the affirmative. That's part of the job. Come on. Alright? Article 4, administrative expenses. To see what sum of money the town will vote to raise and appropriate for administrative expenses consisting of legal fees, interest, supplies, office equipment, insurances, workers' compensation, audit, assessing and operational items not specifically covered by other appropriations. The select board recommends $115,000 be raised and appropriated. I'll entertain a motion.
So moved.
It's been moved and seconded in the amount of $115,000. Discussion. Hearing none, all those in favor of raising and appropriating $115,000 for Article 4 say yes. Yes. All those opposed say no. The vote in the affirmative for $115,000. Article 5, building, operation, and maintenance expenses. To see what sum of money the town will vote to raise and appropriate for building maintenance consisting of building insurance, phone, internet, electricity, alarm systems, janitorial wages, and minor operational items and repairs pertaining to the following community centers. The select board recommends raising and appropriating $55,000. Entertain a motion? So moved.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded in the amount of $55,000. Discussion. Yes.
What sort of repairs is this going to cover?
Just minor ones in the building. Like, this year we would have included, door repair, front door, which has been a problem. It will heal itself, so we're getting by, but those are the smaller things. Otherwise, it would be in a major line item.
Okay.
Yeah.
Does this include the generator stuff that was needing work?
Speaker asked if it includes the generator, and the answer was no. That's actually a line item elsewhere. Additional questions, comments, concerns? Hearing none, all those in favor of raising and appropriating $55,000 for Article 5 say yes. Yes. All those opposed say no. The vote is affirmative, $55,000. Article 6, elected officers' salaries and wages. To see what hourly rate the town will vote to pay the town officers for the ensuing year. The 2023 approved rates are as follows. select board annual stipend, chair, 10,000, other board members, 8,000. Town clerk, treasurer, tax collector, $23 per hour combined. Road commissioner, $28 per hour. I will entertain a motion.
Second, David?
We won't recognize yet, but give me a second. It's been moved and seconded in the amount stated for 2023 in the article. Discussion. You moved this, so I'll give you the first option. I'm good. Defer. Yes.
I want to recognize that Debbie Wakefield has been with us for 30 years. She probably meets more and deals with more town people than the rest of the administration does combined. She also receives all the money that the town needs from taxes and whatnot, which is over $2.5 million. And she also accounts for the money spent by the government, which is over $2.5 million. I recommend that Debbie's wages be raised from $23 an hour to $25 an hour. In addition, our comprehensive plan questionnaire has some questions about the town considering to hire town managers. Nowadays, selectmen are taking more of a load, and they spend a lot more time in meetings, especially evening time. I think their wages, their present should be raised by $2,000, and the chairman gets $12,000, and the person, the other two person gets $10,000. I think it'd be a good move.
I'll receive your speech as a motion to amend the clerk to $25 per hour and the chair of the select board to $12,000 at the year, and the rest of the members of the board to $10,000. Is there a second for that motion to amend?
Second.
Okay. So it's been moved and seconded. So the motion on the floor is whether or not to amend the primary motion. So is there any discussion about whether or not we should amend the amount essentially of the town clerk and the select board?
I wonder if we shouldn't split those apart so we could vote on town clerk and we could vote on selectmen separately.
All right. Are you willing to separate that out into two
That'll be
motions?
fine.
Okay. I'm going to recognize that because it makes common sense. This is what we're trying to do. Any discussion? Let's deal with the clerk first. Any discussion about the clerk amendment? We're not voting whether or not to change it to 25 for the next year. We're just talking about whether or not we're going to vote on it. Does that make sense? Yeah. Okay.
I recommend that the town clerk be paid the same as the road commissioner for the $8.
Okay, I'm not going to recognize that as an amendment yet, but I'll hear you. We'll come back to that. I don't want to amend an amendment. It's really complex.
I just want to remind people that the job that Deb does is actually 3 jobs in one. And if you give her $23 an hour, that's less than $10 an hour, which you can go to McDonald's and make more than that. So I'm in agreement with Wes that her salary should be raised as to the amount. I'll give that to the board to decide, but I do agree that it should be raised.
Any further discussion about amending the motion to $25 an hour for the town clerk? Okay, let's vote on that. So we're not voting on whether to change the town clerk yet. We're just voting on whether we're going to vote 25 or 23, okay? So all those in favor of amending the motion on the floor for the town clerk to $25 per hour, say yes.
Yes.
All those opposed, say no. Okay, we dealt with the town clerk. Let's deal with the selectmen. There's a motion on the floor to amend. So the original motion was 10K, 8K for the selectmen. The motion to amend was to raise it to 12,000 and 10,000. So we're going to talk about that, and then we're gonna vote whether to amend the original motion. Any discussion about moving the selectmen to, the motion to amend to 12,000 and 10,000?
A couple of points. Do you guys think that that sort of money works well for you? As it is right now? Are you comfortable with that? Because we're under a lot of financial pressure. We gotta be very careful how we do this, because we don't want to force you guys to do an awesome job. It's a lot of work, but I just want to know how you feel about it.
You can, or you don't have to answer it, right? That's putting you in a tough position, so you can choose to defer that answer. if you
I
want.
personally don't vote for the money, but I would welcome the extra
Some nights we're out all night. It isn't necessarily Tuesday night or every other Tuesday night. It's every Tuesday night. And then, like I said, sometimes Monday night, there's a meeting, there's a tri-town meeting. Tuesday night, selectmen's meeting. Wednesday night will be something else. Thursday night will be planning board. So there's more to it than just one night a week.
I agree with a lot. I'm happy with what I got, but I'm voting.
Additional discussion about the motion to amend the selectmen. Great, yes.
And I think going back however many years, I was the one who made the motion to, give the selectmen this amount of money. And, it was thought of as a lot of money at the time. The school board gets $10 per regular meeting. They don't get paid for workshops, they don't get paid for, committee meetings, just a regular meeting once a month. Even though, when I was on the school board, I too was out 4 nights a week. I look around at what other towns think, and I don't have a comparison. But I know that our selectmen, I think I remember our selectmen well paid. They're not in the bottom part of the scale for towns around. And I wonder if, with the kind of pressure we've got on our budget this year, with a rather substantial increase in taxes, if this is the year to give the selectmen a raise.
Additional discussion, comment about the motion to amend. We're dealing with the motion to amend. Yes.
I'm not, but I'll just say, in working for them, they work very hard, and it goes beyond the, evenings of the week. I email them constantly, every day, and there's a lot of effort and work that goes on, that all three of them do. It's pretty much a full-time job, and that's why town manager. So you're asking people to essentially donate their time, and this just kind of helps, but, they put a tremendous amount of work and effort. And, quite frankly, with just what they're burdened with, and aside from work, just having to deal with that, you have to want to sit in that seat. And I know it's a big service to the community that they're doing, but, a lot is asked of them, and they're shouldering a lot. So, I definitely think that, it's, regardless of where the budget is, you want to keep representing you and working for you on your behalf, working everything.
Additional discussion, yes. Then,
I can tell you from 6 years of experience, they're not getting enough. Rob's right, it's not, and Boyd too, it's not just nights a week, it's you will eat and drink it once you take that off and set that table. I do agree with Bill a little bit, maybe this isn't the year, but I think it is the year, because if you're not gonna be paying a good amount of money, you're gonna be paying an town manager and see where that goes. So, I'd be for giving the increase.
What is the last time increase was given?
Do we know when the last time?
About 8 years ago, I think, probably Joe. I was on board at the time, that's about my first year, I'm thinking that's, Alan was in there.
Yep, 2015, I think.
Yeah.
Additional, okay.
As the wife of a selectman, I can say that the phone calls never stop. You know, it doesn't matter if it's 8 o'clock at night or if it's 7 o'clock in the morning, getting phone calls constantly from people in the town. And I'm speaking now as my husband is leaving the office, so it's not that I'm speaking to try to get in more money. Because he's leaving the office because somebody is coming in. And I just think that the job that they do, the hours that they put in, Dwight has been during his term in charge of all the stuff that takes place in the cemetery in West Baldwin and the new cemetery, burials, people are calling constantly, they can't find their spot, they don't know where it is, Dwight goes up, he takes a tape measure, or says what he needs to do, he finds their lot for them. So there's a lot involved that you don't see, you know, in the public eye. And as I said, I can say this freely and with confidence because he's leaving the office, and I don't have to be, you know, saying that I'm promoting it for him. But I really think you should consider it and think about it, and unless you've actually been in that position, you don't totally understand what's involved.
Move the question.
Sorry.
Move the question.
I won't recognize shouted motions. If you raise your hand, you might have it. Hearing no further discussion, we're only voting on whether to amend the primary question. Next, we'll vote on whether to actually pay the money next year. So this is just to amend. All those in favor of amending the motion to have chair of the board at 12,000 and the other board members at 10,000, say yes?
Yes.
All those opposed say no. Okay, so we're back to the primary motion. The motion is for, the select board chair, 10,000, other board members, 10,000, town clerk, $25 an hour, road commissioner, $28 an hour. Would you like to amend any further? You raised your hand earlier, I wouldn't recognize the amendment, but I will now if you want.
I recommend that, this pay be due to a single road commissioner and
Okay, so I'm gonna hear that as another motion to amend the primary question to move from $25 to $28 for the town clerk. Is there a second for that motion to amend?
I'll second it.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded to increase the town clerk pay from 25, which is the primary motion right now, to 28. Discussion. Okay, so we're just gonna vote on the amendment now, we're not voting on whether to actually do it. All those in favor of amending the town clerk, amount for the primary question from $25 to $28 an hour, say yes?
Yes.
All those opposed say no. Alright, it passes. So the primary motion, any discussion on that? I'll tell you what it is before you vote. Any other discussion? Alright, so the primary question is, to see what hourly rate the town will vote to pay the town officers for the ensuing year. And the motion on the floor is the select board chair, 12,000, the other board members, 10,000, town clerk, treasurer, tax collector, $28 per hour, road commissioner, $28 per hour. Any questions? All right. All those in favor of paying those rates on Article 6, say yes.
Yes.
All those opposed, say no. You vote in the affirmative in the amount stated. 6 articles in, half an hour spent. The first ones are always hard, because you have to figure out where you want to go, so it's okay. Article 7, town clerk, treasurer, tax collector, office compensation. To see what sum of money the town will vote to raise and appropriate for office compensation for the town clerk's office for the ensuing year. This article includes town clerk wages, assistant clerk wages, ballot clerk, and related town share of FICA and Medicare. The town select board recommends $96,000 be raised and appropriated. I'll entertain a motion. It's been moved and seconded in the amount of $96,000. Discussion.
Don't they now have to change those numbers?
The speaker asked whether or not we have to change those numbers since we increased the compensation amount in Article 6. I will let the select board answer first and then.
Yes, I do believe we do. Jeff, could you recommend a new number for us? Quite honestly, I figured in at 25, but I didn't figure in 28. So you need the number of hours and what the increase would be, give me a number to answer. How many hours in a year?
How many hours a month a year?
Yes.
I don't know off the top of my head.
You figured 2020 is the norm for a 40-hour week.
2080.
2080.
2080 times 25%.
Well, it's only times,
It's times, well, you figured 25, so we went up to 28, so it's
$3.
$3 an hour, so that's what, 6,000 and change. Plus you got 6,000 for the, electrician going up to 12,000. Perfect, all right, so we're thinking 6,000?
6,240.
All right. And I'll come back to it in a second.
This is the $5 raise, 40-hour week, 50 weeks a year, that's $2,000 per dollar. So you get for $10,000 raise. That's 96. If you raise it to 105, that's 9,000 covered. Okay. We've got the 6,240. Right.
That's $3 an hour.
Right. I'll explain again, I already figured in that she was gonna get 25. We have to cover another 3.
I will, entertain a motion to amend the motion on the floor to 103,000 from 96. Do I have a motion?
Second.
So we just do it at 6.
Oh, we're not putting this one.
So I go to the next one. It's been moved in the amount of 103,000. Is there a second?
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to alter the motion on the floor to 103, from 96,000 to 103,000. Any discussion? All those in favor of amending the motion, from 96,000 to 103,000 say yes.
Yes.
All those opposed say no. Passes. So the, Article 7 is now in the amount of 103,000. Any discussion on 103,000? Hearing none, all those in favor of raising and appropriating 103,000 for Article 7 say yes.
Yes.
All those opposed say no. Vote in the affirmative, 103,000. Article 8, to see what sum of money the town will vote to raise and appropriate for office compensation, including the select board, town administrative assistant, animal control officer, code enforcement officer, and the related town share of FICA and Medicare. The select board originally recommended $96,000, but as we recognized before, the select board compensation would be increased by 6,000. So I assume the recommendation would be increased by 6,000.
Right.
So in the amount of $102,000.
It's been moved and seconded in the amount of $102,000. Discussion. Hearing none, all those in favor of raising and appropriating $102,000 for Article 8 say yes.
Yes.
All those opposed say no. Vote in the affirmative of $102,000. Article 9, to see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate 80% of the cost of health insurance for full-time town employees. The select board recommends raising and appropriating the amount of $46,857. I entertain a motion.
Move as recommended.
It's been moved and seconded in the 46,857 amount. Discussion. Hearing none, all those in favor of raising and appropriating $46,867 for Article 9, say yes.
Yes.
All those opposed, say no. The vote is affirmative. Article 10, to see if the town will vote to appropriate an estimated $1,017,787 from the following non-property tax revenues to reduce the tax commitment. Estimated fiscal year 24 state revenue sharing, $184,600. Estimated fiscal year 24 homestead BETE reimbursement, $123,950. Estimated fiscal year 24 municipal revenues, building permit, $12,000, plumbing permit, $2,926, excise tax, $290,000, agency, $7,500, tree growth, $28,046, and solar reimbursement, $22,765. And undesignated fund balance of $346,000. The select board recommends passage of this article.
I move the article.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded as read. Discussion.
So I'm trying to figure out how to add the numbers up to get to $1,017,787.
The speaker is asking whether the numbers below that are specified for particular accounts add up to $1,017,787. I'll turn to the select board.
So you should add 184,600, 123,950, 363,237, and 346,000, and that should come up to that number. Will it?
So you're adding up, so that 363 is not the total of the one above, is it?
Yeah, it is.
So you're adding the 363,237 to the 184,600?
Right,
And the 123,950?
right. Plus the 346, and the undesignated
No,
fund
that's
balance.
346, and that adds up to.
I refuse to do math on camera. We're checking.
I just did it in my head, so if you figured it out, that's fine. I was just couldn't figure it out.
Yeah. The iPhone confirmed the calculation. Additional questions? Yes.
Are the solar reimbursements coming from the solar farm?
The question was, are the solar reimbursements coming from the solar farms?
They come from solar farms, and anybody who's got solar panels on their house also is figuring like that.
So who's giving us the money? From the state or from the?
Where did the money come from?
Okay, it comes from the state, and the way this works is if you have a solar farm or, certain types of solar farms, solar panels on your house, you don't pay taxes on it. The state reimburses the town 50% of what they could have collected from it. That's what that's about.
Hearing no further questions on Article 10, all those in favor of appropriating the $1,017,787 for Article 10, say yes.
Yes.
All those opposed, say no. The vote is affirmative. Article 11, see if the town will vote to instruct or authorize the select board to hire higher sums of money as necessary to pay the current expenses of the town for the ensuing fiscal year. These loans made in anticipation of fiscal year 24 taxes. The select board recommends passage of this article. I will entertain a motion.
Move the article.
It's been moved and seconded to instruct or authorize the select board as stated in Article 11. Discussion. Hearing none, all those in favor of approving Article 11 say yes.
Yes.
All those opposed say no. To vote in the affirmative. Article 12, see if the town will vote to authorize the select board on behalf of the town to sell or dispose of any real estate acquired by the town for non-payment of taxes on such terms as they deem advisable, and to execute quitclaim deeds for such property. Select board recommends passage. I'll entertain a motion. It's been moved and seconded to authorize the select board as stated in Article 12. Discussion. Hearing none, all those in favor of authorizing the select board as stated in Article 12 say yes.
Yes.
All those opposed say no. To vote in the affirmative. Article 13, to see if the town will vote to authorize the tax collector to charge and collect interest at a rate of 6% per annum on all unpaid taxes or part thereof, and establish property tax due dates of 2 October 23 and 1 April 24 for 2 equal payments. Interest will begin accruing the day after these due dates. Select board recommends passage of this article. I'll entertain a motion.
Move the article.
It's been moved as read. Discussion. Not coming from me.
Is this the best way to balance this out so that people who can't pay the whole thing can pay 2 payments? Is that what this is for?
That's what this is for.
But there's also a punishment if they don't make something. Is that they have to pay half of it in order to not get 6% tagged on? How does that work?
It's not a punishment. This was voted on a number of years ago that people wanted to have 2 tax payments. And, normally, if you had 1 tax payment, it would be the October date. And if you didn't pay it at that date, interest would accrue from that date forward on the whole amount. We're now saying that we will delay the second half, and interest doesn't accrue until that due date. So it's actually better.
What's the expectation of the town when tax bills will go out? How far in advance of the October and April date?
Well, the commitments usually end in July, so we are. I think so, yeah.
So about 2 months, a month and a half? Okay. Hearing no further questions. Can't remember which one we're on. All those in favor of authorizing the tax collector as stated in Article 13 say yes.
Yes.
All those opposed say no. Vote in the affirmative. Article 14, see if the town will vote to set the rate of interest paid on overpayment of taxes at 2% per annum, up to 4% below the per annum rate charged on unpaid taxes, in accordance with 36 MRSA Section 506A. The select board recommends passage of this article. I'll entertain a motion.
Move the article.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded as read. Discussion. Hearing none, all those in favor of setting the rate of interest as stated in Article 14 say yes.
Yes.
All those opposed say no. Vote in the affirmative. Article 15, to see if the town will vote to authorize the select board to dispose of town-owned personal property under such terms and conditions as they deem advisable. This process to be used motion?
Move the article.
It's been moved and seconded as read. Discussion. Hearing none, all those in favor of authorizing the select board as stated in Article 15 say yes.
Yes.
All those opposed say no. The vote in the affirmative. Article 16, to see if the town will vote to authorize the tax collector to accept prepayment of taxes not yet committed and say no 0% interest in accordance with 36 NRSA 506. The select board recommends passage of this article. I'll entertain a motion.
Move the article.
It's been moved and seconded as read. Discussion on Article 16. Hearing none, all those in favor of authorizing the tax collector as stated in Article 16 say yes.
Yes.
All those opposed say no. The vote in the affirmative. Article 17, to see if the town will vote to direct the tax collector / treasurer to apply any tax payments received for any real property tax to outstanding or delinquent taxes owed and in chronological order, beginning with the oldest unpaid tax bill in accordance with 36 MRSA Section 906. The select board recommends passage of this article. I'll entertain a motion.
Move the article.
It's been moved and seconded to direct the tax collector as stated in Article 17. Discussion. Hearing none, all those in favor of directing the tax collector / treasurer as stated in Article 17 say yes.
Yes.
All those opposed say no. The vote is affirmative. Article 18, to see if the town will vote to pay for tax abatement and applicable interest granted through fiscal year 2024 from overlay. Any balance not spent on tax abatement will be credited to the tax stabilization reserve account. The select board, as assessors, are authorized to raise overlay under 36 MRSA Section 710. Overlay cannot be more than 5% of the tax commitment. The select board recommends passage of this article. I'll entertain a motion.
Move the article.
It's been moved and seconded to pay the tax abatements and applicable interest as stated in Article 18. Discussion. Can you describe what the overlay is?
Yeah, it's a bit of a fudge factor. When you figure out what the commitment is, you're allowed to add a little bit to make numbers move up or down a little bit, and that's pretty much it. Can't be more than 5%, but the state recognizes the fact that to make things work out, you might need a little more or a little less than what the numbers actually are. We've decided to use it for abatement.
Discussion.
Last year was $13,494.
It's $13,494 last year, so overlay. Hearing no further discussion, all those in favor of paying for tax abatement and applicable interest as stated in Article 18 say yes.
Yes.
All those opposed say no. The vote is affirmative. Article 19, to see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $33,437.21 to cover overdraft in 2022 6-month transition budget. The overdraft were as follows. I do, so that's a couple. Article 2, I'm just going to read the article, you all can see what it says. Article 2, $10,462.40. Article 3, $3,353.20. Article 6, $1,467.24. Article 18, $7,765. Article 20, $1,299.91. Article 21, $184.49. Article 32, $6,123. Article 37, $59.88. Article 43, town garage, $2,307.09. Firefighter training, $415, for a total overdraft of $33,437.21. Select board recommends passage of this article. I'll entertain a motion.
Move passage of the article.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to raise and appropriate the $33,437.21. Discussion. Hearing none, all those in favor of raising and appropriating $33,437.21 for Article 19, say yes.
Yes.
All those opposed, say no. Those in the affirmative, say no stated. Article 20, to see what sum of money the town will vote to raise and appropriate towards the revaluation reserve account. The select board recommends $10,000. I'll entertain a motion.
Move $10,000.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded in the amount of $10,000. Discussion. Hearing none, all those in favor of raising and appropriating $10,000 for Article 20 say yes.
Yes.
All those opposed say no. The vote in the affirmative for $10,000. Article 21, to see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $147,000 towards the Tri-Town Waste Operations. Report on page 5758. The select board recommends passage of this article. I'll entertain a motion.
So moved. Second.
It's been moved and seconded, at $147,000. Discussion? Seeing none.
I was just curious, had they given a bill at a raise rate because it's showing, expenditure, I guess, through April-ish of $86,000, so I'm just wondering why such a big increase.
There's a big difference because the projected cost of running the Tri-Town operation is going way up quickly. We've had 3 rate increases on dumping rates just the start of this year. So this is what's anticipated for next year. We're a little bit out of cycle now with Tri-Town because they're on the old annual cycle, we're on fiscal year cycle. So we have to do a little darning, but we think that's where we are.
Additional discussion, questions, comments, concerns? Hearing none, all those in favor of raising and appropriating $147,000 for Article 21 say yes.
Yeah.
Right.
All those opposed say no. Voting is carried with $147,000. Article 22, to see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $15,000 for the Tri-Town Waste Reserve account, and authorize the select board to withdraw funds from the reserve as needed for capital expenses at the Tri-Town Waste Disposal Facility. The select board recommends passage of this article. I'll entertain a motion.
Move the article.
Seconded.
It's been moved and seconded in the amount of $15,000. Discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor of raising and appropriating $15,000 for Article 22 say yes.
Yes.
All those opposed say no. Vote in the affirmative, $15,000. Article 23, to see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $10,000 for mowing, restoration, and care of existing cemeteries in town. The select board recommends passage of this article. I'll entertain a motion. Too quick, won't recognize somebody else.
So moved. Second.
To move and seconded in the amount of $10,000. Discussion.
Is there an explanation for why that much higher?
Can the select board talk about the $10,000 amount?
That's what we think we're gonna have to pay to do the mowing. Unfortunately, in the 2023, we couldn't get anybody to do the mowing, and, so that's why the number is low.
we just had our mower quit, so, Chris can talk to that, but we're trying to hire somebody again, but it's hard to get people to do it for us.
Hearing no further, or seeing no further questions, all those in favor of raising and appropriating $10,000 as stated in Article 23, say yes.
Yes.
All those opposed, say no. Vote in the affirmative, $10,000. Article 24, to see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $9,000 for the cost of patrolling, maintenance, and porta potty rental for San Juan Beach during summer months. Any balance left over after June 30th, 2023 will roll over into the San Juan reserve account to be used for capital improvements. The Select Board and San Juan Beach Committee recommend passage of this article. Discussion.
Move the article.
Second.
The moved and seconded in the amount of $9,000. Discussion. Yes.
That's another big increase. Does this include, I know they're offering swim lessons, does it include swim lessons as part of this?
The speaker asked whether or not, well, A, this is a big increase, and B, whether or not swim lessons, which you understand will now be offered down there, are included in this amount. Select Board?
We're gonna let the,
Yeah.
for that.
Swimming lessons are not included in this amount. I think, we're trying to have increased hours of patrolling down there. I think that was a piece of it. As well as increased costs for porta potties and maintenance. So we're running the swimming lessons, I'll be teaching the swimming lessons down there. We're running them through South Sea Valley Rec. The majority of the expenses are covered by South Sea Valley Rec. But we'll have some, chats, we will have some additional hours, keeping with each, like, just making sure things go smoothly while we close the beach for swimming lessons. 2 days next week, Thursday, Friday next week, and then the following week, every afternoon. So just additional patrolling and, sort of marginal increases in maintenance.
It also includes trash pickup.
Trash pickup, trash pickup isn't mentioned there, but yeah, according to maintenance.
Additional questions? Hearing none, all those in favor of raising and appropriating $9,000 for Article 24, say yes.
Yes.
All those opposed, say no. The vote in the affirmative is $9,000. Article 25, to see if the town will vote to charge $10 per year per vehicle for access to San Juan Beach. San Juan Beach Committee recommends passage of this article. I'll entertain a motion. It's been moved and seconded to charge the $10 per year per vehicle. Discussion? How many of these do we sell each year? About 100 of these stickers are sold each year. Let's give you some perspective. Fairly popular, actually. Hearing no further discussion, all those in favor of charging $10 per year per vehicle for access to San Juan Beach, say yes.
Yes.
All those against, say no. Vote in the affirmative. Article 26, to see if the town will vote to dedicate all of the San Juan sticker fees to the San Juan Reserve account for capital improvements. I'll entertain a motion.
Move the article.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to dedicate all the sticker fees as stated in Article 26. For everybody, there says collections from tickets. That's actually from stickers. Sorry, the word tickets. Discussion. Hearing none, all those in favor of dedicating all of the San Juan sticker fees to the San Juan Reserve account as stated in Article 26, say yes.
Yes.
All those opposed say no. The vote is carried. Article 27, to see what sum of money the town will vote to raise and appropriate to support the Stockton Valley Recreation Council. The Stockton Valley Recreation Council is requesting $4,000. The select board recommends passage of this article. I entertain a motion.
Move the article.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded in the amount of $4,000. Discussion. Hearing none, all those in favor of raising and appropriating $4,000 for Article 27 say yes.
Yes.
All those opposed say no. Vote in the affirmative of $4,000. Article 28, to see if the town will vote to dedicate all of the snowmobile registration fees to the Baldwin Belt Burners Snowmobile Club. I'll entertain a motion.
Who we have?
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to dedicate the registration fees to the club. Discussion? Yes.
About how much money is that currently?
Approximately $800.
And what do you do?
Maybe $700, $800. Pay for fuel, maintenance,
Dedicated to the snowmobile trail.
and no labor. It's all about
Any further questions?
Is Freddie still president of the snowmobile club?
yeah.
Just checking.
Man, a few words today. All those in favor of dedicating the snowmobile registration fees to the Baldwin Belt Burner Snowmobile Club say yes.
Yes.
All those opposed say no. Vote in the affirmative. Article 29, to see what sum of money the town will vote to raise and appropriate for the Standard Rescue Unit services. Standard Public Safety requests an amount of $59,261 annual cost for a full-time staff ambulance at the Peak Fall Station. The select board and fire chief recommend passage in the amount stated. I entertain a motion.
Move the article.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded in the amount of $59,261. Discussion. Yes.
Is this the portion for ballroom expenditures, or is this the whole thing that we're putting in the bill?
Just all.
I'm clear, because it wasn't in the
The question was whether or not Baldwin is putting the entire bill for the staff ambulance to Chief Falls, or if it's just Baldwin's portion. The answer was it was just Baldwin's portion.
Secondarily, I know that people get charged for using the service, they don't get reimbursed by the town. How does this money fund that project?
Pays for the labor.
Pay for their labor?
One guy's labor. When they started this, that was the deal, that they could throw in one extra paramedic.
Okay,
We picked up the cost of one guy's labor.
got it, okay,
That's where it comes from.
okay,
And then I talked to a guy in Newington,
right,
and he was questioning me on how much we was paying for rescue unit, and I told him what it was, he walked up over.
why,
Because it's as low as what it is,
okay,
you know, so that it's a pretty good deal.
okay.
Are we still gonna get the notice in the tax bills that we can sign up for, kind of like an insurance plan that you can pay a small amount of money and take it? Is that gonna still happen next year, right, you know? Okay.
We take profit in Tennessee.
Okay. Further discussion? I see them involved in a lot, so, I mean, this is, they're here quite a bit. Hearing no further discussion, all those in favor of raising and appropriating $59,261 for Article 29 say yes.
Yes.
All those opposed say no. The vote in the affirmative in the amount stated. Article 30, to see what sum of money the town will vote to raise and appropriate for the fire department for expenses. Any unexpended balance will be transferred to the fire department's operating reserve account. The select board and fire department recommend $75,000. I'll entertain a motion.
Move in the amount of $75,000.
It's been moved and seconded in the amount of $75,000. Discussion.
Are they doing, flushing and all that?
The speaker asked whether or not the fire department are doing dry hydrant flushing.
Yes, absolutely, every time we use the garage, every flush it.
Yes.
No.
Is there a particular one that you're aware of?
Yes.
Where is that one?
We put one right in front of our house to service that part of all.
And for the crowd, what road is that?
Saddleback Road.
Saddleback. Are you aware of the one on Saddleback?
So to be clear, every time we use it, we flush it. If we don't use it, we don't flush it.
Did you hear that?
It used to be done. I don't think it's ever been used, but periodically it's one. Changes through your clean water, which is very nice.
Yeah.
Up until later.
Did you hear?
Not really, no.
That's fine. From here.
I know.
The speaker said that the dry hydrant, on Saddleback, used to be flushed on a regular basis, but it hasn't been flushed, for a few years, a few months.
Since Jason was fire chief.
Since Jason was fire chief, it hasn't been flushed. Not much we can do about it here, but
No, feel free to call the fire department anytime if you have any issues related to a hydrant being in the property, we'd be happy to come out and service it.
he says, if you have a particular issue with the dry hydrant around your neighborhood, feel free to call them and they'll work with you. Any other comments, concerns, questions? Hearing none, all those in favor of raising and appropriating $75,000 for Article 30, say yes.
Yeah.
All those opposed, say no. Those in the affirmative, $75,000. Article 31, to see what sum of money the town will vote to raise and appropriate for fire equipment, for the fire equipment reserve account for future purchases of fire trucks. The select board and fire department recommend $85,000.
Move in the amount of $85,000.
I'll begrudgingly recognize that motion, that premature motion. It's been moved and seconded in the amount of $85,000. Discussion. Yes.
How much do we have in the reserve account?
It's very small print.
Well, it is very small, but, with the $85,000, we would have $188,000.
How much is it now?
Well, right now,
The shaft, right?
103.
The select board saying there's about $103,000 currently in the fire equipment reserve account. You change the answer?
I can't read. Maybe better than that.
We think it's about $100,000. Additional questions, comments, concerns?
We anticipate at the time that you're ready to take another fire truck will be around $700,000. So just so you know, how much they would be.
Yeah.
Just looking back at the 22 expenditure, it's exactly what was appropriated. I guess I'm trying to figure that out. So is it saying 56,000 was added to the reserve account?
No, I think that was it. Didn't we make a payment on the truck? Yeah, that was the last payment on the truck.
Oh, that was the last thing, reappropriated exactly, yes, I think, okay, yeah.
The speaker asked about, Article 31 has a reference to the 2022 transition expenditure of 6651. And the question was, what was that for? And the payment, the select board said it was a payment for a truck. Hearing no further discussion, all those in favor of raising and appropriating $85,000 for Article 31 say yes.
Yes.
All those opposed say no. The vote in the affirmative is $85,000. Article 32, to see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $14,000 for maintenance and repairs for the fire department vehicles. The unspent balance will be deposited in a fire truck maintenance reserve account. The select board and fire department recommend passage of this article. I'll entertain a motion.
Move in the amount of $13,000.
Okay.
It's been moved and seconded in the amount of $14,000. Discussion. Hearing none, all those in favor of raising and appropriating $14,000 for Article 32 say yes.
Yes.
All those opposed say no. The vote in the affirmative is $14,000. Article 33, see what sum of money the town will vote to raise and appropriate for fire chief compensation, including town fire chief and a town assistant chief for the ensuing year. The select board and fire chief recommend to raise and appropriate $13,466.25. I'll entertain a motion.
Move the article.
Seconded.
It's been moved and seconded in the amount of $13,466.25. Discussion. Yes.
If anybody requires a raise or deserves a raise, I think it's the fire department. They do a great job here in Baldwin, and they work a lot of hours. The fire chief does. I'm not going to recommend we give them a raise, but I recommend we think about it very hard for next year. It's a tough job.
Additional discussion. For the group, on the article, it says 2024 appropriation of $13,466.25. I was told that's supposed to be 2023. Doesn't change the motion at all. Hearing no and seeing no comment or concern, all those in favor of raising and appropriating $13,466.25 for Article 33 say yes.
Yes.
All those opposed say no. The vote in the affirmative is $13,466.25. Article 34, see what sum of money the town will vote to raise and appropriate for 3 fire station captains. The fire chief recommends raising and appropriating $1,614.75. I'll entertain a motion. It's been moved and seconded in the amount stated. Discussion.
Yep.
Yes.
As your fire chief, I'd just like to let you know that this number does work out to about $5 an hour per station captain. So for your next year, I recommend that you guys think about taking them a little bit more money, take care of all the fire stations in town, take care of all the truck check maintenance, making sure their gear works, making sure that our roads are in order. The captains do quite a bit of work. That's all.
Additional discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor of raising and appropriating $1,614.75 for Article 34 say yes.
Yes.
All those opposed say no. Vote in the affirmative in the amount stated. Article 35, see what sum of money the town will vote to raise and appropriate for the town firefighters for their training hours and calls. The training is required by the department. The select board and fire chief recommend $30,000 be raised and appropriated. I'll entertain a motion.
Move in the amount of $30,000.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded in the amount of $30,000. Discussion. Hearing none, all those in favor of raising and appropriating $30,000 for Article 35 say yes.
Yes.
All those opposed say no. Vote in the affirmative, $30,000. Article 36, see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $12,500 discussion, emergency fire and rescue calls. This is the amount requested by Cumberland County Dispatch. The select board and the fire chief recommend passage of this article. I'll entertain a motion.
Move the article.
Been moved and seconded in the $12,570.40. Discussion. Yes.
Just looking at the balance, does that mean that we don't need the 12,000 or do we do it?
So the, speaker asked whether or not we need the $12,570, because there is a current balance of $6,123. I'll put that to the select board.
I think what happens here is, we get caught up in the changeover from the, 6 months to 12 months. You'll notice that the previous year was negative, this year was positive. So it evens out the, what's, if there's leftover at the end of this year though, it'll go into, I think we've already paid the contract, so just only a fund balance. And so $12,570 is the contract amount for the county.
Additional discussion. Hearing none, all those in favor of raising and appropriating $12,570.40 for Article 36, say yes.
Yes.
All those opposed, say no. The vote in the affirmative in the amount stated. Article 37, to see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $8,000 for the maintenance, repair, and purchase of new radios as needed. The select board and fire chief recommend passage of this article. I'll entertain a motion.
Move the article.
Second.
We moved and seconded in the amount of $8,000. Discussion. Hearing none, all those in favor of raising and appropriating $8,000 for Article 37, say yes.
Yes.
All those opposed, say no. The vote in the affirmative, $8,000. Article 38, to see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate $0 for the radio repeater reserve account. Please go ahead. The select board and fire chief recommend passage of this article.
I'd like to speak to this article.
Yep, okay, I have a motion.
So voted.
We moved and seconded in the amount of $0 and 0 cents.
A high price to pay. The fire chief wants to show you that they're not always raising all the articles, but here's some that they didn't give up.
Hearing no further discussion on this $0 item. All those in favor of raising and appropriating $0 for Article 38, say yes.
Yes.
All those opposed, say no. Article 39. To see what sum of money the town will vote to raise and appropriate for emergency management. The select board recommends $1,500 to be raised and appropriated. I'll entertain a motion.
Move the amount of $1,500.
Second.
Been moved and seconded in the amount of $1,500. Discussion. Yes.
Just once again, an explanation for if there's been no expenditure for 22 or 23, why is that?
So the speaker asked if there's been no expenditure for 2022 and 2023, why are we raising another asked to be raised another $1,500?
We didn't have an individual appointed. I think Bruce Crawford filled that position for us for those periods. But we've now appointed somebody as the EMA coordinator.
Is there an emergency management reserve account, or each year we have to appropriate funds to that issue?
This is to pay the labor of an individual.
Okay. Yes.
I don't think that is the question. I'm just curious if there's a balance in somewhere that we could be using.
Yeah, is there a reserve account somewhere for that? Or if you go back to the fund balance?
No, so the 2022 number, the money went into the fund balance, and this year, the money will go into the fund balance as well.
Seeing no further questions, all those in favor of raising and appropriating $1,500 for Article 39, say yes.
Yes.
All those opposed, say no. Those in the affirmative, $1,500. Article 40, see what sum of money the town will vote to raise and appropriate for a fuel account used only for the municipal road crew and fire trucks. The select board recommends that $30,000 be raised and appropriated. I'll entertain a motion.
Moving the amount of $30,000.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded in the amount of $30,000. Discussion. Yes.
I would like to move that we amend this article to the amount of $16,000. The reason behind that is we received bids from T.M. Brown for considerably less amount than we estimated. So, I think $16,000 would be enough.
Do I hear a second? It's been moved and seconded to amend the primary motion from $30,000 to $16,000. Discussion. All those in favor of amending the primary motion from $30,000 to $16,000, please say yes.
Yes.
All those opposed, say no. All right, back to the primary motion. Any discussion on Article 40 at the $16,000 amount? Hearing that, all those in favor of raising and appropriating $16,000 for Article 40, say yes.
Yes.
All those opposed, say no. Vote in the affirmative at $16,000. Article 41, see what sum of money the town will vote to raise and appropriate for streetlights for the ensuing year. The select board recommends $8,000 be raised and appropriated. I'll entertain a motion.
Moving the amount of $8,000.
Seconded.
It's been moved and seconded in the amount of $8,000. Discussion? Let's figure out whether it's for maintenance or for new streetlights. I'll put that to the select board.
It's for the electricity for streetlights. CMP provides the streetlights and, under contract, we pay the electric bill on them.
So they're already street lights going in.
Not new, no.
Yes.
Did the cost of the power bill go down with the new street lights that CMP put in?
Figure out whether or not the new streetlights that the CFP put in and reduce the cost.
We think so, but it's pretty hard to prove at this point, because, we have signed up with a company called Ampion,
Oh,
and, which is a solar farm company that's supposed to save you 15%.
right.
I've got to do a number crunching to prove whether it's actually saving us money or not. It's pretty difficult.
Good thing is, we got.
If somebody wants to be an accountant, come in and help you with it. I don't think it's more, it's gonna be less, but it's kind of difficult.
Is it back?
Sometimes it takes a while for that 15% to start up to the solar farms.
Yes, right.
Hearing no further discussion, all those in favor of raising and appropriating $8,000 for Article 41, say yes.
Yes.
All those opposed, say no. Vote in the affirmative of $8,000. Article 42, to see what sum of money the town will vote to raise and appropriate for light flight services for the ensuing year. Light flight has requested $800 for the coming fiscal year, a rate of 50 cents per capita. The select board recommends raising and appropriating $800. I'll entertain a motion.
Moving the amount of $800.
Seconded.
It's been moved and seconded in the amount of $800. Discussion? none, all those in favor of raising and appropriating $800 for Article 42, say yes.
Yes.
All those opposed, say no. We vote in the affirmative of $800. Article 43, to see what sum of money the town will vote to raise and appropriate for the care of roads and bridges. Any balance left over after June 30th, 2023 will roll over into the emergency road repair reserve account. The select board and road commissioner recommend that $125,000 be raised and appropriated. I'll entertain a motion.
Move the amount of $125,000.
It's moved and seconded in the amount of $125,000. Discussion. Hearing none, all those in favor of raising and appropriating $125,000 for Article 43, say yes.
Yes.
All those opposed, say no. The vote in the affirmative of $125,000. Article 44, to see what sum of money the town will vote to raise and appropriate for snow removal for the ensuing year. Any balance left over after June 30th, 2023 will roll over into the emergency road repair reserve account. The select board and road commissioner recommend that $200,000 be raised and appropriated. I'll entertain a motion.
Move in the amount of $200,000.
Seconded.
Moved and seconded in the amount of $200,000. Discussion? Yes.
I'm just unclear about the, any balance left over after June 30th. So that's just a few weeks away. Obviously, we're not going to be doing any additional road maintenance between now and then. So it rolls over into the emergency road repair reserve account. So essentially, we're just putting money into the reserve account.
In theory, yes, but you'll see that so far we've already gone over what was appropriated. So
Oh, I see.
we won't be in this year, but that's the general words that we use every year.
Okay.
Yes.
I know there's been a couple of big storms this year. Do we have any breakdown? I should have looked at the case, but for what those storms have cost us to do the repair work?
I'm Chris, I'm the road commissioner, I'm not a resident. But, so, the December storm, after fixing everything, you were right around the $65,000 to $66,000 mark. I don't have the numbers directly in front of me. And then the April storm, which we haven't actually even completed the repairs. If we were to fix everything back up, patch all the hot top and everything, the estimated cost was right around $180,000 for that April storm. We lost a lot of hot top, a lot of culverts, and a lot of shoulders. It's an ongoing project to get everything fixed, but those are the two numbers for those two storms that we submitted to FEMA, which we didn't get any assistance from FEMA because the county didn't meet the threshold.
Any additional discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor of raising and appropriating $200,000 for Article 44, say yes.
Yes.
All those opposed, say no. Vote in the affirmative for $200,000. Article 45, to see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate $20,000 for aggregate. The select board and the road commissioner recommend passage of this article. I entertain a motion.
Seconded.
The moved and seconded in the amount of $20,000. Just so the record is clear, can we have an explanation of what is meant by aggregate?
Rabbit.
You mean at the bottom of the hill, we can't see that? Top down? Where it all went? Any discussion? Yes.
Probably just to the point of education. Why does that need to be separated out from like maintenance, road maintenance?
Yeah. So the speaker is asking why this Article 45 is separated out from other articles that deal with road maintenance.
Doesn't have to be, but, it has traditionally been, and we haven't always purchased it every year. So it's just, I think, some years we purchase it, some years we don't. And,
Additional questions? Hearing none, all those in favor of raising and appropriating $20,000 for aggregate, say yes. All those opposed, say no. Vote in the affirmative in the United States. Article 46, see if the town will vote to authorize the town to use $27,119.99 from the capital investment plan town vehicle reserve account to pay for the fourth payment lease for the IH 2020 plow truck. The select board and road commissioner recommend passage of this article. I'll entertain a motion.
Move the article.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded in the amount stated. Discussion. Hearing none, all those in favor of raising, all those in favor of authorizing the town to use the $27,119.99 from the capital investment plan town vehicle reserve account for Article 46, say yes.
Yes.
All those against, say no. Vote in the affirmative in the amount stated. Article 47, to see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate $50,000 for the town vehicle reserve account to support the 5-year lease for the truck for snow plowing ordered in 2023. Delivery is expected in 2024. Anticipated annual lease of $40,685.41 with a final buyout of $65,000 in fiscal year 29. The select board and road commissioner recommend passage of this article. I'll entertain a motion.
Move the article.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to raise and appropriate $50,000. Discussion. Hearing none, all those in favor of raising and appropriating $50,000 for Article 47 say yes.
Yes.
All those opposed say no. Vote in the affirmative of $50,000. Article 48. To see if the town will vote to appropriate monies received from the Maine Department of Transportation Local Road Assistance, LRAP, for capital improvements of town ways. The amount received in 2023 was $44,564. The select board and road commissioner recommend passage of this article. Will I entertain a motion?
Move the article.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded as stated in Article 48. Discussion. Yes.
So this is saving money, what's being asked?
What's being asked is that particular money that the town receives from the Department of Transportation, will be used for capital improvements to town ways. So we're authorizing the town to use that money in a particular way. Okay. Hearing no further discussion, all those in favor of appropriating the money as stated in Article 48 say yes.
Yes.
All those opposed say no. Vote in the affirmative. Article 49. To see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $100,000 to add to the monies received from the Maine Department of Transportation Local Road Assistance, LRAP, for the maintenance or improvement of town ways. The select board and road commissioner recommend passage of this article. I'll entertain a motion.
Move the article.
It's been moved and seconded in the amount of $100,000. Discussion. Hearing none, all those in favor of raising and appropriating $100,000 as stated in Article 49 say yes.
Yes.
All those opposed say no. Vote in the affirmative of $100,000. Article 50, see what sum of money the town will vote spend from the undesignated fund balance for maintenance or improvement of town ways for fiscal year 2024. The select board and road commissioner recommend $193,948. Give me a second here. Okay, I'm gonna. I'm going to modify the article. I'll read it again. I'm adding a word. To see what sum of money the town will vote to spend from undesignated fund balance for maintenance or improvement of town ways for fiscal year 2024. The select board and road commissioner recommend $193,948. I'll entertain a motion.
Move in the amount recommended.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded in the amount stated. Discussion. If I didn't put the two in there, you wouldn't be authorizing the expenditure. So, two cents. Gary, oh, yep.
Unless I missed it, there was nothing in the deed in 26.
The speaker is asking in Article 50, there's no reference to the 2022 appropriation or expenditure. So
There was no appropriation in 2022, so that's a 6-month period.
I don't need appropriation, funds received. From IRAP?
No. I think they would have been received either before or after, but it was a 6-month period, and you really get it when you get it. Yeah.
So I think the speaker is referencing in the chart, it says 2021 LRAP funds received, and there's the 2023 LRAP funds received, but there's no 2022 LRAP funds received.
2022 was the transition year.
Further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor of sending $193,948 from the undesignated fund balance for the maintenance or improvement of town ways for fiscal year 2024, say yes.
Yes.
All those opposed say no. It's a vote in the affirmative of the announced stated. Article 51, to see what sum of money the town will vote to raise and appropriate for town garage maintenance. The select board and road commissioner recommend $20,000 be raised and appropriated. I'll entertain a motion.
Move in the amount of $20,000.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded in the amount of $20,000. Discussion. Hearing none, all those in favor of raising and appropriating $20,000 for Article 51, say yes.
Yes.
All those opposed, say no. To vote the affirmative of $20,000. Article 52, to see if the town will vote to authorize the select board to make final determinations regarding the closing or opening of roads to winter maintenance pursuant to 23 MRSA Section 2953. Select board and road commissioner recommend passage of this article. I'll entertain a motion.
Move the article.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to authorize the select board as stated in Article 52. Discussion. Yes.
Yeah, what does this mean? I mean, I know you close roads during the winter, but is this part of doing something different?
This allows us, the selectmen, to determine annually whether they're gonna change the closure of roads for run maintenance. And usually when we make a vote, it's good for 10 years, in the middle of, like this, if we know something's gonna change, so we annually put that in there.
And the people that live on the road have some input on the decision.
We don't close the road, somebody lives on it.
Got it. Thank you.
Further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor of authorizing the select board as stated in Article 52 say yes.
Yes.
All those opposed say no. The vote is affirmative. Article 53, to see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate $30,000 for River Road repair and improvement. This amount will be added to the River Road reserve account. The select board anticipates replacement of the River Road Pigeon Brook crossing in fiscal year 25 and fiscal year 24. The select board and road commissioner recommend passage of this article. All entertain a motion?
Move the article.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded in the amount of $30,000. Discussion. The speaker asked whether or not the River Road Pigeon Brook crossing will last until fiscal year 24 or 25. Do we have anybody with knowledge about the condition of that crossing?
We had an engineer down there, we're gonna pay him about $30,000 this year to design a replacement. He didn't think that it's going to blow out right away, but that was before we had this last storm. Hopefully it will last until we get a replacement, but, he said the cost to replace it would be probably $200,000 or more.
Yeah.
Do we anticipate any, issuing a bond to replace the bridge?
Not at this point.
So do we anticipate, so the selectmen anticipate, appropriating money to replace the bridge?
Right. I think we're doing that now, aren't we? Is any of this going to replacing the crossing?
No, well, it may or may not, but this money goes into the River Road Reserve account, and we had a special town meeting where we addressed, River Road Reserve account definition, a month ago, and expanded the ability to spend money from that account for that culvert, replacement. At this point, we don't have the exact amount needed, but we think that over a period of time, we will accumulate some money in there, maybe next year in budget time. Maybe we can get some funds from the state, to help pay for this, but it's an unknown quantity right at the moment.
Say there's no funds right now for it.
We'll have a lot of encouragement on road funding right now.
Additional questions regarding Article 63? You see J.R. hand go up on the wall. And you can ask the question. Hearing none, all those in favor of raising and appropriating $30,000 for Article 53 say yes.
Yes.
All those opposed say no. Vote in the affirmative, $30,000. Article 54, to see what sum of money the town will vote to raise and appropriate for road emergency repair, for the road emergency repair account. The town spent $62,000 from this account for the winter storm Elliott repairs in December 2022. The select board and road commissioner recommend raising and appropriating $65,000. I'll entertain a motion.
I move the article.
Seconded.
It's been moved and seconded in the amount of $65,000. Discussion. Hearing none. C1.
Yeah, this is what I'm saying, just fill articles so we find enough money to.
Yeah, so the emergency road repair account, is where we went to, get the money to do the storm Elliott repair. And this is the exact number that read my, or our selectmen's report, we thought there should be a whole bunch more put in there, but the budget was getting too high.
Being no further discussion on Article 54, all those in favor of raising and appropriating $65,000 for Article 54, say yes.
Yes.
All those opposed, say no. The vote in the affirmative of $65,000. Article 55, to see what sum of money the town will vote to raise and appropriate for the support of Brown Memorial Library. Brown Memorial Library is requesting $17,000. I'll entertain a motion.
Move in the amount of $17,000.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded in the amount of $17,000. Discussion. Jeff.
I will say that as the president of the board, I will see if the board has any way to give a little bit back to the town. We don't have any major projects, we only have a lighting swap and a stair repair, we don't have outside things that need to be done this year, maybe we can help out a little bit.
Further discussion on Article 55. Seeing none, all those in favor of raising and appropriating $17,000 for Article 55 say yes.
Yes.
All those opposed say no. Vote in the affirmative for $17,000. Article 56, to see what sum of money the town will vote to raise and appropriate for support of the Baldwin Historical Society. The Historical Society is requesting $10,000. I'll entertain a motion. It's been moved and seconded in the amount of $10,000. Discussion. Hearing none, all those in favor of raising and appropriating $10,000 for Article 56 say yes.
Yes.
All those opposed say no. The vote in the affirmative of $10,000. Article 57. See what sum of money the town will vote to raise and appropriate for the support of Saco River Corridor Commission for its continued water quality monitoring program. The Saco River Corridor Commission is requesting $400. I'll entertain a motion.
I'll move.
It's been moved and seconded in the amount of $400. Discussion. Yes.
So, I'm Lori Downey, I'm one of the commissioners for the Saco River Corridor Commission. This is Sherry Dunning, who is the second. And I just want to make clear to everyone that this money goes to the water quality testing program. So every 2 weeks from May through the beginning of September, we're out testing the water of the Ossipee and the Saco River. The results of the testing are on page 70 to 79, but we've also started testing San Juan, and the results for last year were excellent. So if you have any questions about Saco River Corridor Commission, you can ask either one of us.
You gonna do San Juan again this year too?
Yeah?
Well, that's work on good crops.
If you want to.
Love that.
The question is whether or not the commission would continue to test in San Juan, and the answer was, yes. If the town wanted. Seeing no further discussion, all those in favor of raising and appropriating $400 for Article 57 say yes.
Yes.
All those opposed say no. The vote in the affirmative of $400. Article 58, to see what sum of money the town will vote to raise and appropriate for the support of the Saco River Festival Association. The association is requesting $300. I'll entertain a motion.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded in the amount of $300. Discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor of raising and appropriating $300 as stated in Article 58 say yes.
Yes.
All those opposed say no. The vote in the affirmative is $300. Article 59, to see what sum of money the town will vote to raise and appropriate for the support of smooth feather youth. Smooth feather youth is requesting $600. I'll entertain a motion.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded in the amount of $600. Discussion? Yes.
600 seems a lot more than they've asked for in the past. Is there any reason for it? There's no reason for that, I'm not clear.
The speaker's asking if there's any justification or support for the increase of $600.
I don't have the full history, but it's in line with last year's request and transition request.
So historically, has it been about $600?
No, yeah,
What is it?
it's been much lower than that.
How much?
I don't have the numbers. I won't go through your.
So this is the 2022, which was a 6-month amount, was 300. And then the 2023 appropriation was 600. And this is 600 again. They're a relatively new organization. Yeah. I don't know how.
They've been around for about 5 years.
Yeah.
We know about it, probably not. Maybe you want to modify it and see, can we get on top of that?
You can make you can move to amend the $600 if you'd like. How would you like to amend it? There's a motion, to amend the $600 to $300. Is there a second to that motion? Discussion on the reduction, the move to amend to 300 from the original motion 600. Any discussion on that? Yeah.
So, familiar with what they do, they do a film school for youth in the area. They've been doing it for several years now, and some of those films have been awarded, in the northeastern area. So it's a pretty, incredible program. I assume from the work involved and what they've done, that it's beyond, it's almost close to a volunteer organization, to be able to put together what they've been able to put together. But they're only getting $600 in 5 passes. That can't be how they're running their operation. So I think the 600 is, I'm probably gonna, recommend voting against the decrease, the amount.
Additional discussion? Yes.
I think the, youth center operation has been so positive in the, school system here. They do a great job communicating. And in the school system, we have seen positive results. There are difficulties for them.
Speaker says that the school, from the school board's perspective, from the school's perspective, they've seen positive results from the program in the school system. Yes.
These kids work really hard, and there are a few kids from Baldwin that are involved in this project. And the work that they do is incredible. I don't know if you've ever seen one of their films, but if you haven't, you should take a few minutes and do it. It's really incredible what they do. And having students from Baldwin that are involved in it, I think it's not too much to ask to give them $600. Okay.
All right, so let's vote on the amendment. So are we going to reduce the primary motion from 600 to 300? All those in favor of reducing the primary motion from 600 to 300 say yes. All those opposed say no.
No.
The amendment fails. We're back to the primary motion of $600. No further discussion? All those in favor of raising and appropriating $600 for the Smooth Feather Youth Program, say yes.
Yes.
All those opposed, say no. The vote is unanimous, $600. That amendment was so much easier after we went through it. Time Warner Inc., to Socrates Valley Media Tech brand, Socrates TV, formerly TV2 and brand, for the purchase and maintenance of equipment and for operating costs. The request is 100% of the fees to be transferred to Socrates TV, brand TV2 and brand. I'll entertain a motion.
Move the order.
Seconded.
It's been moved and seconded to dedicate the money as stated in Article 60. Discussion. For those of you who don't know, the folks who are recording and broadcasting today are from Socrates Valley Media Tech. Do a great job. I think a lot of them are at the baseball game right now, so we're getting the second tier crew.
What's the score? I don't know, I'll find out.
Anybody knows the score of the baseball game? We're happy to hear it. At any time throughout the Hearing no further discussion, all those in favor of dedicating the franchise fees and other grants as stated in Article 60 say yes.
Yes.
All those opposed say no. Those in favor. Article 61, to see what sum of money the town will vote to raise and appropriate for Southern Maine Agency on Aging. The agency is requesting $3,750. I'll entertain a motion.
Move the order.
It's been moved and seconded in the amount of $3,750. Discussion. Hearing none, all those in favor of raising and appropriating $3,750 for Article 61 say yes.
Yes.
All those opposed say no. Vote in the affirmative of $3,750. Article 62, to see what sum of money the town will vote to raise and appropriate for home health visiting nurse. Home health visiting nurse is requesting $900. I'll entertain a motion.
Move in the amount of $900.
It's been moved and seconded in the amount of $900. Discussion. Hearing none, all those in favor of raising and appropriating $900 for Article 62 say yes.
Yes.
All those opposed say no. Vote in the affirmative of $900. Article 63. To see what sum of money the town will vote to raise and appropriate for Opportunity Alliance. Opportunity Alliance is requesting $3,500. I'll entertain a motion.
Move in the amount of $3,500.
Seconded.
Moved and seconded in the amount of $3,500. Discussion. Yes.
My understanding was that they pulled out of town and the state's gonna take this over, is that true?
Yes, they have pulled out of providing us with a general assistance administrator. But this is to support their other greater activities. If you read their report, there's a whole lot of things that they do. And quite actually, when we have a general assistance administrator, they would call on some of the services that these folks provide. So I would say this is still money well spent.
Seeing no further discussion on Article 63, all those in favor of raising and appropriating $3,500 for Opportunity Alliance say yes.
Yes.
All those opposed say no. Vote in the affirmative of $3,500. Article 64, to see what sum of money the town will vote to raise and appropriate from general assistance. The select board recommends raising and appropriating $20,000. I'll entertain a motion.
I move in the amount of $20,000.
Seconded.
It's been moved and seconded in the amount of $20,000. Discussion. Yes.
We don't have it.
Well, I didn't hear the question.
Who is taking over the director and that program?
Oh,
Used to be.
I thought it was at the end. The speaker asked who's taking over the oversight of the general assistance program because, I think we heard the Opportunity Alliance is going to do.
We are in the process of trying to identify an individual or entity. Cumberland County is looking at doing it, for a number of, towns that have been terminated by our Opportunity Alliance. We also have the opportunity to, with a couple of individuals that might do it.
Yes,
A related question regarding the general assistance budget and report on page 38. It would indicate that there were 2 cases totaling around $1,100 and then a cost of administration of $6,100. Explanation for that?
That's not unusual. I think it's worked that way just about every year. So the general assistance administrator, sits in the office for 4 hours a week, generally on a Thursday morning. We pay them on an hourly rate, and then, for the people coming up, they answer the phone quite often. If we don't give out money, they provide, information on other services in the greater area that they can, draw on. A lot of these other organizations that you see here that we provide money to, they provide services to individuals. So, yeah, we quite often pay a little more for, the administrator than we do cash out assistance.
Seeing no further questions on Article 64, all those in favor of raising and appropriating $20,000 for general assistance, say yes.
Yes.
All those opposed, say no. Vote in the affirmative of $20,000. Article 65, to see what sum of money the town will vote to raise and appropriate for Northern Light Home Health, Home Care and Hospice. Northern Light is requesting $500. I'll entertain a motion.
Move in the amount of $500.
Second.
To move and seconded in the amount of $500. Discussion. Seeing none, all those in favor of raising and appropriating $500 for Article 65, say yes.
Yes.
All those opposed, say no. The vote in the affirmative of $500. Article 66, to see what sum of money the town will vote to raise and appropriate for the Through These Doors, an organization providing support to victims and survivors of domestic violence.
Move this way.
The select board recommends $1,000. Thank you.
Move this way.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded in the amount of $1,000. Discussion. All those, seeing none, all those in favor of raising and appropriating $1,000 for the Through These Doors organization, say yes.
Yes.
All those opposed, say no. The vote in the affirmative of $1,000. Article 67, to see what sum of money the town will vote to raise and appropriate for the Harvest Hill Animal Shelter for their services of handling Baldwin stray animals. Harvest Hill is requesting $1,520. I'll entertain a motion.
Move in the amount of $1,520.
It's been moved and seconded in the amount of $1,520. Discussion. Hearing none, all those in favor of raising and appropriating $1,520 for Article 67, say yes.
Yes.
All those opposed, say no. It's a vote in the affirmative of $1,520. Article 68, to see what sum of money the town will vote to raise and appropriate to Southern Maine Planning and Development Commission for the 2024-2. The commission is requesting $623. I'll entertain a motion.
Move is read.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded in the amount of $623. Discussion. Hearing none, all those in favor of raising and appropriating $623 for Article 68, say yes.
Yes.
All those opposed, say no. Ooh, sorry. Opposed, the affirmative, $623. Do we have a request for state comment? Well, we do. Article 69. To see what sum of money, to see what sum the town will vote to raise and appropriate for Maine Public Radio, television, and online programs. The selected recommend $100. I'll entertain a motion.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded in the amount of $100. Discussion.
I'm not sure why they're appealing to the town, probably just because we're sitting up. I've been donating to them for years. I love their TV, I love their radio, well, not as much anymore. But I still donate to the cause, and I know a lot of people who do. So I'm not sure why it's appropriate for the town to be adding to this.
Yes.
Residents of the town, we all benefit. I mean, if nothing else than for the kids program, seems like a small nod to the work that they do, and the way they support our kids is appropriate.
And I know that many teachers use educational resources that they available to any teacher, so it does benefit our kids that way.
And I believe also that they provide emergency broadcast services throughout the state, so this would be a logical for us to support that.
But there's federal money for a lot of this. I understand from the teacher's standpoint, they have a resource, that's great. But a lot of this, they get state money, they get federal money, they do the daily campaign on a regular basis. They send me a plethora of requests for money. I think if they restructure their paper use, their request line, maybe they'd do better. Just saying, I just don't think that it's really hard to do. I recommend it, but I'm still not there yet.
We might have our first non-unanimous. I always like the money. All right, hearing no further discussion, all those in favor of raising and appropriating $100 for Maine Public Radio, television, and online programming, say yes?
Yes.
All those opposed, say no.
No.
No. Vote in the affirmative of $100. Article 70, to see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate $500 to support the Grateful Undead for their efforts to make Baldwin an age-friendly community. I'll entertain a motion.
Move it as written.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded in the amount of $500. Discussion.
So, yeah, great name, right? So, we've been around since about 2011, composed of volunteers from all 5 SAD 55 towns. And we're about basically supporting people aging in place. So, as you all probably know, there's a few older people around and, trying to stay in their homes. So, I should mention, there's a letter on page 104, but it doesn't give our website, which is www.gratefulundead.org. So you can go there and see the programs we do. But it's essentially volunteer driving programs because we don't have much public transportation. So since 2011, we've been providing volunteer drivers to get people to their medical appointments. And we've got a phone buddies program, we have something, a care group that we do with the Porter Grange to do small repairs on people's homes to make them more, adaptable for older folks. So things like that, and, we recently became a nonprofit, unfortunately, you have to get liability insurance when you do that, so that's what this money is going for. So I would ask that you support it.
Another item that we failed to mention is this group is very cooperative with the Baldwin Food Pantry for delivering, the shut-ins throughout the immediate area. So we use them quite a bit.
Further discussion of the Grateful Undead. Didn't think I'd ever say that for the group. Hearing none, all those in favor of raising and appropriating $500 for the Grateful Undead, say yes.
Yes.
All those opposed, say no. Vote in the affirmative of $500. Article 71, to see what sum of money the town will vote to raise and appropriate towards planning board expenses. The select board and planning board recommend $2,000. I'll entertain a motion.
I move in the amount of $2,000.
It's been moved and seconded in the amount of $2,000. It may be appropriate for the, chair of the planning board maybe to kind of describe some of the things that might be going on that, the planning board's doing.
Well, the planning board is a place where people come and can discuss what they plan to do by way of a business, and we're a platform for neighbors to talk to each other. It's all very official, and there's a land use ordinance and a subdivision ordinance, and we are charged with seeing that those work. The selectmen do enforcement, we grant permits. We are heading into, how would I say, the state has passed a law which is known as LD 2003, which will supersede home rule, overrules home rule, and will force us to change our land use ordinance. We have worked, the Bob Flint, Lori Downey, and the planning board have worked to revise our land use ordinance to conform to LD 2003 so that there will be as little change as possible. And we're having a public hearing on that June 17th, and there'll be a special town meeting on that June 27th. The idea is this is an interim. We're also working through a comprehensive plan, and when we have a new comprehensive plan, we will then once again probably be revising our land use ordinance. The land use ordinance has to conform to the comprehensive plan. So this will be a two-step process, and we'll be talking more about this on June 17th, and I hope you're all here for that. Thank you.
Is that LD 2003, everyone?
Yes.
Is that where the state is forcing towns to allow people to put 2 dwelling units on each parcel?
That would be a short form of saying that Bob would tell you it's much more complicated. I think I would too.
Generally speaking, yeah.
Yeah, but generally speaking, you can have 2 or in some cases 3 dwelling units on a parcel, on a building lot.
And as of today, that's due to take effect July 1st.
Yep. We, at first thought that this legislation was going to be changed, so we came late to the party, and that's why it's going through now. Got to be changed by July 1st. Otherwise, we go by state law, and that might be more of a wild card than us writing our own.
Being no further discussion of Article 71, all those in favor of raising and appropriating $2,000 for the planning board, please say yes. Yes. All those opposed say no. Vote in the affirmative of $2,000. Article 72, to see what sum of money the town will vote to raise and appropriate to add to the comprehensive plan reserve account. The planning board and select board are in the middle of a $27,550 two-year effort with the Southern Maine Regional Planning and Development Commission to revise/update the Baldwin Comprehensive Plan and related ordinances. The select board and planning board recommend $15,000 be raised and appropriated. I'll entertain a motion.
Move the article.
It's been moved and seconded in the amount of $15,000. Discussion. Hearing none, all those in favor of raising and appropriating $15,000 to Article 72, say yes.
Yes.
All those opposed, say no. Vote in the affirmative of $15,000. Article 73, sorry. To see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate $15,000 for the contingency reserve account to replace the $12,470 used by the select board to cover the shortage in the Tri-Town waste operation. Mr. Three, they come to this in that outlet. Hasn't happened yet, but it will happen in May or June. I'll entertain a motion.
I'll move the article.
It's been moved and seconded to raise and appropriate $15,000. Discussion. Hearing none, all those in favor of raising and appropriating $15,000 for Article 73 say yes.
Yes.
All those opposed say no. Vote in the affirmative of $15,000. Article 74. To see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate $20,000 to the material, construction, and labor to install a generator for the Baldwin Community Center. The generator was donated to Baldwin by the Cumberland County Emergency Management. I'll entertain a motion.
Move the article.
It's been moved and seconded in the amount of $20,000. Discussion.
Would that make this building available for emergency fire? The storm last December, so people could come in here if they didn't have power.
Yeah. And it would keep our pipes from freezing up.
Just to answer to that, this building is designated as a Cumberland County EMA ordering center, so for any of your storm sensors, based on the generator, when we provide backup.
Perfect. There is no further discussion. All those in favor of raising and appropriating $20,000 as stated in Article 74 say yes.
Yes.
All those opposed say no. Vote in the affirmative of $20,000. Article 75, to be voted on by secret ballot. To see if the town will vote to increase the property tax levy limit established for Baldwin by state law in the event that the municipal budget approved under the preceding article will result in a tax commitment that is greater than this property tax limit. I'll entertain a motion. It's been moved and seconded to increase the property tax levy limit as stated in Article 75. Discussion.
Why the secret ballot?
State law. We're going to do something about that in a second.
Then I move that we appoint two people to vote for everyone.
I will recognize your request. So traditionally, what we've done is we have done a voice vote of this article. If it's unanimous, then we have done, the representatives from the group have come up and cast 3 written ballots to confirm the voice vote. That's complying with the requirement of a written ballot under the law, but not taking up the 45 minutes it takes to do a written ballot. At the end of the discussion, I will ask if we can do that. But let's have the discussion first, just to see if there's any discussion, and then we'll get to the ballot.
How does this limit law pertain to our meeting today?
The question is, how does this pertain to our meeting today, and I will, defer to the select board on that.
Thank you, Kathy. You're stepping into Norma's shoes. Okay. It's funny, when I first came on the board back in 2015, this is the way it's been treated for many, many years. There was a law passed quite some time ago that was, the intent was to keep tax increases to a minimum within towns, and this tax levy limit was a way to do it, and, the way the town has addressed it is, forget about calculating the limit, and just put this one in, and whatever people vote to spend the money on, that's good enough. And so I don't know what the limit is, but this is required still by law for us to do that. To verify that if we have voted for it, and we're going to spend it, and it exceeds the tax levy limit, that's good. That's keeps us legal. Sorry, I don't have the number.
Additional discussion. I would ask that we do a voice vote, there's no problem with that, a voice vote. If it's unanimous, then I would ask 3 members of the voting group to come up and cast written ballots so we can affirm the voice vote. Is everybody in agreement that we can do that? Okay. So let's take a voice vote first. All those in favor of increasing the property tax limit as stated in Article 75 say yes. Yes. All those opposed say no. I'd ask that 3 representatives from the voting group come up and confirm the voice vote in a written ballot. Let me count the ballots. I counted the written ballots and the article passes. I won't recognize the motion for adjournment being called out. First off, I want to recognize the Baldwin Community Auxiliary. There are fresh items over here for purchase. They're easily taken home, they're prepackaged, and so if you could stop by their table, they would very much appreciate it. It's a fantastic addition to the town meeting to have folks be able to come here before and have some food and have some drink and socialize. We don't have a lot of opportunities to do that anymore, so it's a fantastic addition, and it has been for years to the town meeting. So I want to make sure I recognize you all before we end. Generally, this time, if anybody has any observations, I'll open the floor for just a short few minutes. Yes.
Yes, I was just looking at the, pages 105 to 107 on the management of all reserve accounts. And I think last year at town meeting, we had passed, an article asking for a fire department training reserve account. I don't see that reflected here, so I was curious if there was a report on that somewhere that didn't make it to the report.
Yeah, you know if there's a training account?
Nope. There's a training account, but there is not a reserve account that is my knowledge.
Okay. Is there, do you know if there's a reserve account for training?
I don't know if there is.
I could probably find the
great subject to raise, so, they'll help you out with it. Alright, I will recognize, a motion on article, oh, yep.
We'd like to thank Dwight for his year's service. That we should.
Good.